This is the Voice of the Land podcast with your hosts, Kevin Arnold and Nick Paulus.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome on in to another edition of the Voice of the Land podcast. We are back, and this is the season premiere of Season 4, Episode 1 of the Voice of the Land podcast. I am one of your hosts, Kevin Arnold. Alongside me, as always, my brother, Nick Paulus, and our producer extraordinaire behind the proverbial glass, Peter Tellep. We are partnered with Web Streaming Studio by LPV and NEO Sports Network. And now, Season 4, we told you was going to get bigger. We now have a sponsor, and we are sponsored by Dog Pound Construction owner Tyler LaFrada. You can always reach out to us for more details. There's going to be more details to come. They got a big project coming up on Monday.
Yes, they do.
A big patio project.
Patio.
So doing some big things out there. Wanted to jump on with people doing some big things here at the Voice of the Land podcast as well. We've talked with Tyler. He was on our live stream of the NFL draft.
He was.
So a big friend, big proponent of the podcast as well. So we want to make sure we give back there. So there's going to be more details to come about how you can reach out to them. Get in with Dog Pound Construction. You can reach out to Paulus at CLE_Paulus on Twitter, myself at Kevin7, and we will get you those details. There's a Facebook page to come, phone number, all that stuff's already getting going. They're getting big projects before they even get everything established. So that's how you know Dog Pound Construction is already doing big things. When you got the name like Dog Pound in your name,
it works perfectly for us, doesn't it?
It works perfectly for you. So we are proud and honored to have Dog Pound Construction as our new sponsor. Of course, to find the podcast throughout the week, you can always find it on Google, Spotify, and Apple podcast platforms. Video clips, full show podcast at Voice of the Land podcast on YouTube. And, of course, on Facebook at Voice of the Land, on Twitter and Instagram at VTL_POD, at VTL_pod. We've been off for a couple weeks. We needed to plan for this big Season 4. So I start with you, Paulus. How's it been going, man? How has the 2 weeks been treating you?
The 2 weeks off was fantastic. My wife and I, we went down to Virginia Beach, hung out with one of my buddies. He's a Navy guy down there. He's actually just going to get out of the Navy, Logan Brenneman, if you're listening. Mm-hmm. So he's going to be getting out of the Navy. He's going to be doing like a financial advisory thing. Already got started with his new job down there, so he's doing great. Super happy for him. Went down there last week. Actually, this coming up week, I'm actually not going to be on the next pod that we do. I'm, here, there, every once in a while. Yeah. I just sold my two cars. I just sold the 06 Honda Pilot, which I absolutely love that car. It was handed down to me. It was just, I love that. This huge mammoth of a car. Love it. And then I sold my 2007 Mitsubishi Galant. So it is, and I've had that thing for 10, 11 years. I mean, I love that thing, through and through. Got it to 194,000 miles. Wow. I was so close to 200,000. That was this close. Couldn't take it over, but it's okay. The people that we sold it to, I'm really hoping that they enjoy it. I told them, I was like, it's my favorite car I've ever had. I've absolutely loved it. Drove it to and from California whenever I was living out there. So that car really meant a lot to me, but I'm actually going to be heading down to the Florida area, okay. North Carolina, Florida's.
Be careful down there.
I know.
Be careful.
I know COVID is ramping up down there. We're going to be, I'm taking my mask down there, which I bought this at Virginia Beach.
We all got our masks there today.
Yeah,
we all got our masks.
We all got it.
Don't worry. We're following it, Governor. We're following it. We got our social distance, so we don't have to wear a mask when we're recording. Don't worry.
Right.
Don't worry.
We got that. But yeah, no, it's a nice little shark mask. I absolutely love this thing. It was like $15, but I was like, you know what? Yeah. You got to invest in a mask nowadays. Yeah. So I'm glad I did. I absolutely love this thing. So it was great. How was your guys' 2 weeks?
Peter, how's it been these last couple weeks?
It went by way faster than I thought it was going to.
Yeah.
And we just had, I was going to have someone come in and do some wiring in the studio, and unfortunately, our schedules just couldn't mesh up. So I was actually down here last weekend and started to do some things and got pulled off helping my buddy out with some stuff. And it's just like, man, that was 2 weeks. Just came and went really fast. But no, it's been good. I'm excited, with the new season, new sponsorship.
Yeah.
We do have, it's not up yet, but we do have Voice of the Land .com, I think. I have to double check. I registered a domain name for us, so we're going to have to get a website up, and we'll probably make all these links and sponsorship stuff available there
this
too,
season
so.
is going to be ridiculous.
Oh, yeah,
I can't wait for it. And finally, we have Sports Bag, so
Yes.
that helps out a lot too.
And I was told that there's no guarantee from one of the local conferences that there's going to be fall sports, but I was told I should plan on keeping my Friday nights open. So hopefully we'll, if there may not be crowds, but hopefully we can do something to get some of these high school
fingers
sports
crossed.
out there.
Yeah.
I would love to have high school football, especially high school
Yeah.
football. I mean, for my sake, but yeah, no, absolutely.
Well, and we talked about that towards the end of season 3, and we kind of talked about where we felt like it was going, where it may not happen. I mean, and we didn't feel good about that because we want the seniors, we want these student athletes to have the opportunity to play. I mean, yes, family, health, those are the two most important things. And you are a student athlete, so that means your academics come next. But we all know that sports also plays a role in kids' lives more so than just being out there with their friends. It is something to, kind of, it keeps them going. It motivates them. It helps them find themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's
100%.
So, and you know how difficult it is to be a kid and try to figure out who you are and what's going on. And for some kids, I know for me especially, sports was one of those things that I was able to figure out who I am, what I want to be about, what I believe in. Sports was played a major role in that.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't know where I would be without team sports, in my life. I mean, without, the ability of, playing on a football team or baseball, basketball, not really so much basketball.
Yeah.
I'm, too short and too slow. But for football, baseball, I mean, without those team sports, you need those sort of activities in your life to make yourself whole, and at least for me, and I'm just going to talk for myself, but that is, I mean, I don't know where I would be without that sort of mantra in my mind, because I mean, team, it was always about team, whenever you're playing those games, 11 for 1 basically. And it's just something that I live by now. I mean, it's not just all about you. It has to be about the team. Yeah,
it definitely has to be about the team, and we're hoping there's high school sports. I mean, I've seen some things on Twitter that is leading the other direction from what you've heard, Peter. So nobody knows what's going to happen, and all we can
nothing's official.
All we can hope is that everybody is safe and that these student athletes still get the opportunity and we know how difficult it was for the class of 2020 to lose their spring sports, and how much more impactful fall sports are in this area and on kids. So we're hoping that that doesn't last too long, and we can find some middle ground to enable these sports to actually happen and things go about the right way. My 2 weeks can be summed up in one word.
What's that?
Soccer.
Soccer. Okay.
I have been watching a ton of soccer.
Sure.
MLS, Premier League. As much as I can. I started coaching again, which I absolutely love. I mean, I am following all the guidelines. I'm wearing a mask when I coach. Of course, with the mandate, the kids don't have to wear it because one of the exceptions is if you're exercising in Ohio or you're playing a sport, you're not required to wear a mask in that instance. I did tell the parents, if you feel like your kid needs to, feel free to have them wear it, or if you want to wear it to and from, just make sure that they have it with them. But we're going to follow as many guidelines as possible because I preach because it's not like me in charge and the parents doing it. It's all of us collectively. And I said, we are going to do all we can. We know we want a season, and there's the hashtag I want a season for all of Ohio sports out there and academics, student athletes out there. We know we want a season for our travel soccer league. So we're going to do all we can to follow these guidelines to help that season actually happen and help other seasons for other sports, other age groups to happen as well. So we're going to do all we can with that. One thing that perturbed me in terms of soccer throughout these last couple weeks, and I just a very quick rant. This is not nothing too long, nothing like that. I've heard throughout the last 2 weeks, and specifically one person that I heard, I love listening to ESPN Cleveland. I love all the guys over there and the girls over there, and there's mentors over there, and we know how much Aaron Goldhammer helped us. We had like a symposium with him, kind of like a little conference to kind of go through what we really need to know, what we really need to do. So a lot of knowledge, but he's kind of been at the forefront of this, but he's not the only person I've heard this from. I can't wait until Friday, July 24th when American team sports finally return.
Right.
guess what? American team sports actually came back a couple weeks ago with the MLS. I know, I get it. Soccer's not big here. I understand it. I have my own issues with it. The reasons why American fans don't get into it as much, the diving, kind of wasting time sometimes, some of those nuances that go against soccer. I criticize that too. As a big proponent for the game, I criticize it too. I hate that kids are taught to dive. Any little piece of contact, they go down, they flail their arms and everything. I absolutely hate that. I will not coach that way. I will not let players be that way.
Mm-hmm.
But just so everybody knows, the first American team sport to come back, yes, in a bubble, not across nationwide and playing in their home stadiums. You can give that to MLB. But the first American team sports league to come back was Major League Soccer in their bubble. And I've been watching a ton of Major League Soccer, and especially the Columbus Crew, who have been crushing it in this MLS's back tournament. And now they're in the knockout stage. And some of their young stars, USA stars like Jazzy Zardes, and then you got Zella Rayan, who hit one hell. I'm not even going to care that I'm saying that. One hell of a goal to open up the whole tournament. And I got to say, I'm kind of getting a little bit more intrigued by American soccer because the women have been so dominant for so long.
Right.
And they're going to continue to do that because the youth system feeding into that is just so tremendous.
Yeah.
But some of the young talent playing in the top leagues around the world, especially Christian Pulisic, who's playing at Chelsea in the Premier League, one of the most iconic franchises, one of the most iconic football clubs in all of the world. He has been the catalyst to try to get them into Europe's top tournament next year and be towards the top of the Premier League the rest of the season. He has been killing it the rest of the season. I know our guy Emmett Golden would attest to that. I know he's a Tottenham fan, but he's been getting into it too. So I've been kind of going back and forth with him.
Emmett's been diving into to the Spurs. So
that's why, like, every time I turn on at 3:00 Monday through Friday, the next level on ESPN Cleveland, I'm always wondering, Emmett, are you are you watching Premier League right now? Like, what's on the TV? What game's on the TV? So it's been fun a couple weeks, but it did go by so fast. But we are excited because we here in Cleveland have our sports back. We don't really have a team in some of these other leagues. We have our baseball back.
Thank God.
Indians get the 2-0 win against the Kansas City Royals last night at Progressive Field. Shane Bieber, oh my goodness, he put a stamp on being the new ace of this ball club last night with 14 strikeouts, only gave up 4 hits, no earned runs, had 1 walk to those 14 strikeouts, went 6 innings, had a couple innings where he made about 20 pitches or so didn't get deeper into the game into 7 or 8, but to see him go 97 and Kansas City only allowed Danny Duffy to go 65 kind of shows the difference in some of these pitchers and how much length and how much conditioning they actually have for these games. You're going to see some of these starters not be able to go deep into games, especially if their pitch count gets high early and they get to that number.
Right.
But Shane Bieber, I mean, just as you're watching
unbelievable.
The gifts were just rolling through Twitter for you, Paulus. I mean, just your thoughts on Bieber, the dominance, and Indians doing just enough offensively to get that going and scratch a couple runs across the plate to get that win last night.
Yeah, they scored all their runs in the one. They only scored 2 runs, so they only scored the 2 runs, but it was both in the 5th inning there for them, which was the perfect timing because at first I was like, man, here we go with like another Kluber start. Like Kluber's so dominant and, puts up the zeros, or if he gives up 1 run, you're like, now you're behind the 8 ball because for some reason, every time Kluber pitched, it was like the offense was like, oh, let's have an off day. We only need to score 1 or 2, which bothers the hell out of me.
Yeah.
But Shane Bieber, I mean, what can you say? The guy is fantastic, and he had one of the most dominating performances on opening day ever. There are 3 pitchers that did what Shane Bieber has done. Camilo Pascal with the 60 Twins, he had 15, so that's the most ever. Yeah. Then Shane Bieber tied with second place with Don Drysdale, Hall of Famer, Randy Johnson did it twice with 14, 93 and 96. So it's been since 1996 since anyone had such a dominating performance. And it was done in 6 innings.
Yeah.
It's not like it went all 9.
Right.
He did it in 6 innings. And it's because that first inning, I think he threw like 21 pitches in the first inning. But after that, he was knockout, fantastic, special on the mound.
He was trying to get a feel for that breaking ball early in that first inning. He was trying to throw it, and it was.
You know what? It kind of
looked
looked
the top too much.
It almost looked. You remember because we ripped Bauer for like trying to he was just focused in on throwing pitches.
Yes.
And like I think the game just sort of came to Bieber, last night going in the second inning. He's like, you know what? Let's just take care of this. Let's just get out of here. Which from the second inning on, like hands down, it was awesome. It was awesome to see him out there. I did have a couple other stats there for us. Some of the things that, and once again, it's opening night.
Yeah.
A lot of nerves, even with no one in the stands, which was obviously super weird.
Yeah. We'll get to that.
There were some cardboard cutouts and stuff like that.
Those were kind of crazy.
Some of them were. Did you see they had a Nick Cage one?
Yeah.
I love that.
That's basically trolling all Indians fans that didn't realize they put Nick Cage into some of their lineups on Twitter, those lineup pictures last year.
They did it all last year, and then the Indians came out and said, hey, here's Nick Cage, and like all these different ones, which was awesome. But, the first game of the year, we already spotted Nick Cage, so that's awesome. Yep. But once again, first game of the year, jitters. I get it. That's okay. But something that we can't have is only scoring 2 runs.
Right.
I mean, there's been, I know Boston, and mind you, it's the Orioles who are a single A team. Put 13 up on the Orioles last night, which no one's really expecting a whole lot from Boston this year, especially after they traded Mookie to the Dodgers, which Mookie signs that 13-year, $190 million deal, whatever it was.
Like 300?
Or I'm sorry, I didn't. $380 million deal.
Okay.
Yeah, a couple $100 million off. Yeah.
Taking a pocket cut there.
Pocket change.
Yeah, pocket change. It's nothing. Yeah, absolutely. I heard somewhere, and I'll get back to this here in a second, but I heard Mookie every day from here on out for the next 13 years is going to get $79,000 a day. Just for waking up, you get $79,000. God, that'd be an awesome life.
Years ago, I had a website when it was one of the strike years where they were threatening to strike, and I think it was in, was it A-Rod? I mean, I don't even know if it was A-Rod. I'm trying to remember who it was. I mean, this was a long time ago.
Sure.
But I had a website that had a calculator. So as soon as you went to the website, it showed how much money this player had made since you had been on the website. And it was kind of we can add that actually to when we get the website up for Voice of the Land.
I love that. I love that idea.
As soon as you come to the site, this is how much money Mookie Betts has made since he loaded the page.
At that point in time, how much is Frankie making?
Yeah, really.
But to get back to it, 3 through 6 hitters. We really had an issue with that last night. Lindor, Santana, Reyes, and Luplow. Okay, they went 1 for 14. Now taking Luplow out because he's you're going to throw him in against lefties and whatever. So just 3 through 5, we went 1 for 11. That can't happen. And I don't think it's going to happen. I think those are our best hitters in the lineup for a reason. I think that they're going to be fine. It's one game. We're not going to freak out. We won, first off. And that apparently equates to, 2.7 wins? Is that what everyone's saying? So we're like 2.7-0 right now, which is, good. But, I think that they're going to turn it back on eventually. But what a fantastic performance by Bieber. Hands down to him. Great for him.
And that's what you need. I mean, if you're going to put your ace out there and you're going to have, we know the Indians their strength really is their starting pitching and their development of pitchers throughout their entire organization. That has been their MO for the last several years, especially throughout the Terry Francona era of being a manager of this ball club. And it's so that's going to be the strength. And you need your offense to get it going. And you got your top 4, your starting infield is all switch hitters. So that gives you versatility against any hitter because all 4 guys can hit pretty well or decently well from either side of the plate, and that just makes you more dangerous. You could see the frustration already getting to Frankie last night after those first couple. I mean, I'm thinking after the first 2 at bats, I'm thinking, why are you swinging so early? Like I get the first at bat, you're thinking you're going to get the pitcher's going to be amped up. You're going to get something
You're
early.
going to get a fastball right down the middle or something.
Kansas City did that. I mean,
Yeah.
you saw that foul ball. It almost looked like it was going to be a double at the start of the game off of Bieber, but they know, like, let's attack early.
Yeah.
So I get it in your first at bat, but then you got to try to make that other starter work. That's got to be, you have to take control of the game offensively by being the team that takes control of the other team's pitcher, making them work, getting them deeper into counts. We saw in the exhibition games, they were willing to do that. Cesar Hernandez was able to do that a couple times against Pittsburgh, and that's going to be crucial as well in that leadoff spot. Yeah, we're not going to freak out about Lindor not getting a hit last night. His last one, that was probably the one he needed to then go into today to get going. But he's going to come back ready to go. And yes, it's only 60 games, so there's more of an emphasis. So you can't go too long this season with and getting into a trend like that. So we're bringing that up just to indicate, let's hope we don't see that trend. We don't think we will, but let's also, just take a deep breath. We know that Frankie's attention to detail, he almost took on what Brantley had. When Brantley would go to his dad, or he'd be in the cage, he'd work on his swing when he was having a couple off days. And that's what Lindor is too, with a higher ability than Brantley to really knock the cover off the baseball, but spray it all over the ballpark. Yeah. And then defensively, you know what you're going to get out of him. And he's not going to – there were 0 errors last night, I believe, and defense looked great. And you're going to have Jose, Lindor, Santana, those guys being the catalyst for all that. So not worried about that. 5 o'clock first pitch today on Saturday. If you guys are listening later on the week, let's hope that we're not talking about a trend that we should have been more concerned about, because it's later in the week and you're hearing this then. We know that there's only one game and there's still 59 to go, but the Indians put themselves in a good position where there's a lot of room for improvement now that the games matter. But you get that win under your belt. Now that kind of eases the tension, eases the stress, eases the anxiety a little bit. Gets you into the season. Now hey, these games count. We got one win under our belt. We got a lot of room to improve. Let's make these corrections now. Let's stem the tide. Let's not make these habits, and let's get the ball rolling. Let's get this series from the Kansas City Royals. Let's get that at least 2 out of 3 or all 3 here starting today on Saturday at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock first pitch at Progressive Field. Now, Bieber, we could just talk all day about how great that was. I mean, just being able to – the strike zone was a little favorable, but it was on both sides. So you can't complain. You can't complain about that if you didn't get a call, and you can't be like overly excited like, oh, yeah, we may have gotten a little help last night.
Right. Oh yeah. And once again, Bieber had the 14 strikeouts. And
most in Indians history for opening day as well.
Right. And then also another thing is that, we had 2 more strikeouts from Wickren and Hand as well. So 18 total through 9 innings is the most on opening day history for MLB. So I wanted to throw that out there as well. Striking out the Royals 18 times through a 9-inning game, most in MLB history.
Now, have you guys seen any other games around Major League Baseball, whether opening day or some of the other exhibition games they put on TV?
I have not.
I caught a little bit of the Angels, Angels A's last night, which one of the new rules came into effect because it went extra innings, so you had to put a man on second, and craziness ensued.
Yes.
It was a grand slam that won the game last night. So it was, but you start off with that player on second base, and brand new rule.
Yeah, and I want to talk about those rules, but just wanted to see if you guys had seen several games, because you see it, they're starting to pump in the crowd noise, and you got those cardboard cutouts. Some baseball ballparks where you can actually see the seats. That there's a little bit of a higher wall behind home plate at Progressive Field, so you really can't see that. You didn't see it until they took those shots down the first base line, third base line of the season ticket holders, celebrities, athletes, the different cutouts, flow all over the ballpark.
Who do we know that we can get our cardboard cutouts in there? That's what I want to know.
What? That is a good point. We should get our cardboard cutouts out there. I would love that.
Can we just get that Voice of the Land design that your mom stitched into those shirts?
I would love that. Yeah, that make that as our cardboard cutout. We should look into that. We definitely need to.
put that with Nicolas Cage and then see if anybody like recognize, like see become the new Nick
Cage,
for the
voice
Indians.
of the land.
Yeah. But like just some of your thoughts, because I know Fox National, when they have baseball games today, they're going to try to do almost like a video game style element where the fans, it's going to be virtual fans you're going to see through the television broadcast. They're going to react when things happen for their team or against their team. And they're going to be wearing the team's colors, basically. Yep. They're going to try to implement that. Just some of your thoughts on what you've already seen or ideas that these broadcast companies have had and ballparks have had to try to get that crowd noise or that crowd element in there to get the players to almost feel a little bit more comfortable so it's not just that eerie silence.
Yeah. Right, and Jacob and I watched a game last night. We were actually wondering about that. It's like, are they actually pumping that sound into the stadium or was it just for the broadcast? Because it is, I mean, I would think that it would be really eerie to be playing in Progressive Field with, like, pretty much dead silence, after, because the crowds get crazy, so.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And that's a huge part of, the experience. I thought it was weird. I thought it was nice because I would have thought it would have been weird if it wasn't some noise there. But to me, when, you get the long fly out, to not hear the crowd, just the reaction. So with the Fox stuff, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. It's weird. The whole thing is just very surreal to me. But it was great to actually sit there and watch baseball and as far as the hitters go, I thought a lot of our hitters they really wanted to they were just
make that mark.
Yeah, they were pressing.
Yeah, and I think once they just need to settle down, and I think they'll be fine. But man, what a game!
And it makes sense to see that from those hitters that are newer to the team, like wanting to make that mark and kind of like get it through the TV that they're here for this team, they're here for the fans, things like that. But to see it from some of the guys, especially Lindor and Santana, that have been here for so long, they understand how this goes.
Yeah, Domingo swinging at the first two pitches he sees, and pop outs. He's going to take his time. His third at bat, I think he saw I think he struck out. But he saw I think he got to a full count.
Right.
So I mean, he saw a bunch of pitches after that. So that was all good.
And you feel like the more pitches these guys see early on these first few games of the season in a shorter season, the better off they're going to be to kind of get that rhythm back at the plate. So you kind of want to see them be a little bit more patient than aggressive to start out the season, like the first couple weeks, and then you get into that flow, and then you can take the pitch by pitch or at bat by at bat. That situation, what you need to be going up there trying to do.
Right. And within a couple of weeks, it's going to feel like, they're in the middle of the season already. So, everyone's going to settle into where they're going to be at. Two things. I think it is weird not having the fans there. Obviously, you see all the cardboard cutouts, and you do hear, the pumping of the crowd noise and whatnot. But Luplow got hit last night, and he got hit, and you immediately heard his him saying something that I can't say on the on the radio. Yes. But you immediately heard that, so we know what a lot of these players are going to be saying, which is going to be awesome, and I can't wait for it. It's going to be watching like that Jordan documentary. You're just going to hear expletive. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait for it. But I think that not having the fans there is going to be different, but it'll come in. And then a lot of people have issues with what Fox is going to be doing. Making the audience, like the crowd, just bring in, whatever for it.
It's video game
a video game, yeah, absolutely. I kind of like it. I kind of like, because it is going to be weird just seeing an empty ballpark, no matter what. So, bring in, the animatronics or, whatever you want to do for it. Green screens, that's fine. I don't care. It'll make you feel more at ease, whenever you're watching it at home. That way it's going to look different, but at the same time, sort of ease you back into the saddle.
I need to see that. I mean, I'm intrigued by it for sure. I'm intrigued by this and all the virtual things that they're able to do, add into the broadcast to make it a little bit more unique and fun to, try to give fans as best of an experience having to all watch through TV as possible. I'm all for anything that they want to try out. I need to see it to know if it's going to look right or if it's going to give that feeling that you feel like it can. In terms of the crowd noise, I mean, I do like that. I do like kind of hearing that. What I miss is that natural. You can tell it's not as natural. It's kind of recorded. I miss that natural murmur in the middle of the game as people are having their conversations, because some people go to the ballpark and they're fans of the Indians, they're fans of their baseball team,
Right.
but they also want to go and they want to, it's like a social event too. You may,
For sure.
Adults are going to go and they're going to have a couple beers, a couple adult beverages
drinks,
there. Families are going to go. They're going to kind of get together with a couple other families, have those hot dogs. Like I miss ballpark hot dogs.
Yeah.
And the slider dog from Happy Dog is really good too. It's that it's a hot dog with mac and cheese, bacon, and then topped with Fruit Loops.
Fruit Loops.
Yeah.
That is the most random
did you guys not,
combo ever.
Did you guys not hear that a few
No.
years ago?
I've heard of it, but I've never had it.
No.
Before I went before I had to go dairy free because of my dairy allergy now, the first year that they had that, I tried it, and the mac and cheese and bacon was great.
Sure.
And it wasn't that the Fruit Loops were bad. It just didn't. There was no meshing of it. But what I loved was I got a great hot dog with mac and cheese and bacon on it, just sticking to my arteries, and I got a side of sugar with one of my favorite cereals, Fruit Loops.
There you go.
I mean, I just took them off and I ate them after, like it was like a nice little snack,
Right,
like an
yeah,
additional.
just pop them in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was great. But so it's like I miss those things, and the Indians, what they've tried to do to bring in local eatery places, and other ballparks have done the same thing. So it's so much of an experience, and so there's some of that you're still missing, but you can't complain because we have live sports back. We have baseball back, what we've been missing all summer. We have that back for us. So I'm not going to complain too much. I just want to see how some of these broadcast companies kind of develop it over the time. Now, you did mention that runner on second in Major League Baseball, and there's a lot of rule changes they're going to try this year in a shortened season, and kind of the three main ones. The one you talked about, there's also universal DH between both leagues. The pitchers aren't hitting in the National League now.
Which it's about time.
It's about time, right?
Yeah.
And, of course, there's a 16-team playoff now instead of 10. What are your guys' thoughts? Do you have any – are you against any one of these rules? And do you feel like any one of those three that just mentioned have any staying power moving forward? We know that they're going to try some things this season, and we're all for it. Like,
Sure.
it's already way off in 2020 as it is. But do any of them have staying power, and do any of them concern you?
Staying power, I think that they're going to go with the universal DH. Like that's how it's going to be from now on, and it should be.
Yeah.
I mean, a pitcher going into a game, it's an automatic out. I mean,
Right.
let's be honest. Pitchers last year, I think, hit like under $150, which is, I mean, he wouldn't be on your roster.
Right.
Like there's no reason why you should have a pitcher on there doing that. So I think the universal DH is going to stay. I don't like having 16 teams making the postseason.
Really?
I think that's way too many.
Okay.
I mean, that's half your league.
Right.
Making it. And it's just like the NBA. I think that they need to cut down on that as well. I think you need to have like the top 12 teams in the NBA, East or West. Like I think that's how that should be. For the NBA. Now I don't know if you could do that for MLB as well. Whatever, but I think that 16 is way too many, especially in a strike shortened year, or I'm sorry, COVID shortened year.
Yes.
I think that would be just way too many. I mean, you're going to see some mediocre teams getting in, and I just don't like that. The other one was the player starting on second base for extra innings. I love that idea because it takes, I mean, we've seen extra inning games go to 20 innings. I mean,
Right.
On average, they're like 13, 14. And at that point in time, we're trying to speed up the game of baseball.
Right.
We want intensity. We want to have that sort of fun back. What's not fun about having a guy rip a double, the first at bat, in extra innings. And then you're like, okay, we finally got a chance,
Right.
So, it's a 0-0 game and we got a guy on second base and, in the 10th inning. Like, that's perfect. Do whatever you got to do to get that guy home. That's awesome. I love that. So I hope that those ones stay, that and the universal DH. Once again, too many playoff teams for me. I understand it for this right now just
Right.
because of, I mean, it is a shortened season, but going from here on out, like that is 16 teams is a lot of teams. I don't want to see all of that.
Yeah. Peter, any just kind of some of those rules that you've kind of seen and what you're looking forward to seeing, what you think could stay, what you don't want to see at all?
I like the universal DH, and part of the reason is because with the over the last several years they've expanded interleague play.
Yes.
And like a couple years ago, what was it? The Indians finished their season against the National League, and that really handcuffs them. And I don't think that's fair to the American League teams. So I like that idea. I hope that stays. The extra innings man on second.
It's different.
It's different.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about that yet. I'll have to see how it goes.
Sure.
The expanded playoffs, I see that I'm cool with for this year because of the way it's set up. But I don't think that should stay. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we may get to it and be like, hey, you know what? Actually, that makes a lot more sense.
Well,
So,
and it definitely helps out the Indians.
Yes.
I mean, I mean, they would have made it last year had that been the rule.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, that definitely does help out the Indians, but
Yeah, and we think about like how far can the Indians go. I mean, they've only played one game, so
Right.
So and yes, they won, but it's like it's hard to tell still. Have we seen anything different than what we thought coming in and what we've kind of already talked about? That they do have the chance to make the playoffs when we thought it was going to be 10 teams. We thought they had a chance to make the playoffs. I don't think anything with that has changed. I just think that opportunity has been enhanced, and it's been enhanced for all of them. I'm all about this year trying things like that. I want to see the 16-team playoff. I want to make sure we get there. Knock on wood here. But I want to see what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And you got a 3-game series, then the 5-game, then you get to that 5-game divisional series, then the 7-game ALCS, NLCS, and then 7-game World Series. Like I want to see that kind of transition, and see if there is any sort of element of maybe expanding playoffs, maybe not to 16, but to giving maybe another team or two in each league an opportunity to make the playoffs. Just see how this goes this year. I'm all for trying all that to just get as much baseball as possible in as short amount of time as possible and as allotted this season, basically. The guy that starts on second in extra innings, I come at this a little differently because you and I, when we were at Ohio Media School, we did the captain stuff, and
Yes.
I got the opportunity to do a little bit more last year. I was working with Matt Lodi, covering some Indians games, and I was doing some stuff with the captains, working with play-by-play man Andrew Luftglass, a great friend, a great mentor there as well. Him and Lodi, and prayers out to Lodi as well. He's got a big kind of scan coming up soon, but he's been doing well. He's been getting to the games, been strong. I love
Lodi
seeing
strong, right?
Lodi strong. Love seeing it. He always takes great photos from that press box too.
He does.
when he's at the ballpark. So love seeing that. But minor league baseball, they tried this last year, and it was to try to speed up the game. I'll tell you, it was kind of half and half. Where the
Really?
game ended after 10, there was other games that it seemed like the same thing happened in the top of the 10th as it did in the bottom of the 10th, and then it went to the 11th. Same thing.
Yeah.
12th, same thing. I saw some 13, 14 inning games, just like I did quick 10 inning games.
Sure.
Because the game of baseball, that nuance, that strategy based on numbers with bunting is non-existent because kids that grow up now see the launch angle element.
Right.
That's
Nobody bunts anymore. Right.
No, right.
Right.
Because, and it's a lost art in the game of baseball. Like you love to see small ball, like guys on second and you got no outs. What are you going to do to try to get that one run in? You're going to try to bunt him over to third. Your next guy up, you're trying to get a fly ball or something. Even if you hit it on the ground, you're trying to get it far enough away where the only play they have is that out at first, and there's just no chance at the plate to get that guy running in 90 feet from home. From third base.
If anyone does small ball, sorry to stop you. If anyone does small ball, it's going to be Tito.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Tito is that old school dude who will do that sort of thing, which is great because that's going to be an unexpected advantage, I think, for us as Tribe fans.
You said it perfectly. It's one of those advantages that I think the Indians have, having Terry Francona. And people have said the team that's going to win this season is going to be the one that can overcome the most adversity, not necessarily the best team, but the one that overcomes things the best because we're going to see some positive tests. We're going to have COVID-19 still impacting the season with play still going on. Who better than Terry Francona, who keeps his players...
Nobody. Nobody's better.
No. And he keeps his players locked in on day-to-day things. So you're going to see that from the Indians, but you're not going to see it consistently. So you may see some 10-inning games like last night. A's get that walk-off grand slam. Great. It's a great thing for opening day. It's a great thing to to put out there for Major League Baseball. It looks great for Rob Manfred. He's probably cheering.
He's loving that.
He's loving that by having that rule. And, oh, my gosh, this is how that game ended? Oh, my gosh. Well, then it's going to come down to that 13-14 inning game where it just keeps going back and forth because both teams still have a chance. And you're going to see, like, then people start to swing either side of there. So I don't know that necessarily has staying power. The DH is the thing that has staying power, like you guys said. Because I do love trying to watch a pitcher hit, but we don't get to see National League games as much here in Cleveland. So if you're a National League fan, you're getting to see your pitcher hit every fifth day.
Sure.
In their rotation. You don't get that here in American League, and then there's just that disadvantage or that disconnect when American League plays National League in their ballpark, and then National League comes to play American League. And I think it gives actually older players more of an opportunity for longer careers.
Absolutely does.
Because now there's more teams where you can have a guy that you can't play in the field anymore, but he still has pop in his bat, and you want that to instill fear in the opposing pitcher to plan for them still. They can still do damage for you. You can be in your 4-hole, your 5-hole, and still get that cleanup hit. That extends guys' careers to be a DH now in all 30 teams.
I think, it's going to expand on that. If they keep the DH, which we all think that it's a good idea, and I think that they will, you're going to see that, in Hall of Fame voters as well. I mean, there's only a handful of players that, are, designated DH, in the Hall of Fame. I think like Edgar Martinez and, Poppy's going to make it.
Yes.
Yeah, obviously. So, I think you're going to see a lot more people, them going, yeah, you know what, it's a part of the game now. It's throughout both leagues. Let's bring them on in. And I think that that's a great thing for the older players because I think that you still would have seen a couple of the older players, back in the day. I mean, yesterday was Barry Bonds' 56th birthday. I think that if they had a DH, 10 years ago in the National League, he probably would have had another season or two with the Giants. And I would have loved to have seen that. I know he has the steroids, blah, blah, blah,
right.
Whatever, but Barry Bonds was that exciting dude to watch hit.
Yeah.
At a certain point in time in his career, he couldn't field anymore, which
right.
is understandable.
Understandable.
I mean, guy was 40.
Yeah.
So 40 out in the field, that's not going to be, unless you're Ichiro, I don't think that's going to happen. But as a DH, it'd be perfect.
Even with steroids, Father Time is undefeated.
That is true.
So
unless you are Tom Brady, I think that you're going to cheat death a couple of times.
Right. I mean, even for Tom Brady, even though he's going longer than most guys,
dude sold his soul to the devil, man. I'm telling you.
When Father Time finally hits him, it's gonna be bad.
Hard.
It's gonna be.
Well, you remember whenever Brett did it, his first season with the Minnesota Vikings got him to the NFC Championship game, and then he got crushed in that game, and then coming back to the next year, he had like an MVP year that year, and then the following year is whenever just everything went off the tracks, and nobody wanted to see Brett Favre fall and lose his consecutive start streaks or anything like that. But I mean, you're absolutely right. Father Time does catch up to everybody.
Yeah, and some of these guys, like even a deal like Mookie Betts has. I mean, he's
going to be 40.
Yeah, he's young, he's fast, but he's not going to be that way the whole time.
Right.
So like.
He'll be a DH.
That kind of contract in the National League would tend to turn into, for a field player, would tend to turn into a Bobby Bonilla type situation where you're still being paid after you still can't play because of all that money that's there for you and what you've been guaranteed to be given there. So, but now he can play more of that contract for the Dodgers because even when he can't field as much as you see Mookie Betts being able to play as a bright young star in Major League Baseball right now, you're going to still have that powerful bat or that strong bat that you're still going to want in your lineup later on in that contract. And it's just that much more impactful, I think, for teams. Again, I get the baseball purists that they want that distinction between the two leagues or the pitcher to hit. I get it. I'm all about it. But I think it's time. I think it's just time in this era for DH to be the universal thing and not pitchers hitting. As much as I miss Trevor Bauer imitating people's other players' batting stances from his own team and throughout history of baseball, that's kind of like a fun thing in batting practice or something like that. If you see like a cool video on Twitter, I'll take that there. In the game, all the strategy, let's have DH go throughout Major League Baseball the whole time.
There's only one, and I just wanted to pop in right here. There's only been one pitcher that I was like, you know what, all for having a bat in his hand. Dontrell Willis.
Okay.
Do you remember how dominating he was? I mean, I believe he was on the 2003 Marlins team, and that dude could rake.
Yes, he could.
I mean, they moved him up in the lineup. Actually,
Yes.
I think they put him at like the 7 hole,
Uh-huh.
a couple of times because he'd hit like 250, and had like a bunch of doubles and home runs. I mean, the dude could rake out there.
And that made for some interesting double switches as well. Jacob
Oh, yeah.
deGrom of the Mets ain't too bad either. He was
Yeah.
he was a shortstop, I think, in college who he still has a little
Those
bit of
double threats. I mean,
Yeah.
that's huge for you. That's for sure.
He's got pop in that bat and can hit it out to that weird apple out in center field.
Maybe bring back Bartolo Colon.
Yeah.
He had his one home run.
Was that in San
It
Diego?
was San Diego. He
Yeah.
tried it around the bases. It took about 45 minutes, but he got around.
That's a great left field corner at Padres ballpark.
I've been there whenever I was living out there. I went to one game out
Yeah.
there, and it was awesome.
Was it?
Extra innings. They ended up winning. Fireworks show was fantastic. But yeah, that ballpark. I'm sorry, is awesome out there.
Yeah, there's some I would love to get to, even though
Yeah.
I don't not necessarily a fan of Boston. I'd love to get to Fenway.
Been there once as well.
Because it kind of gives you like that old school baseball park. I mean,
Yeah.
I visited League Park where it has that one remaining standing wall of that
Right.
kind of style ballpark, and just to kind of feel that puts goosebumps on you.
Oh, for sure.
Now, sports have returned. We've been I'd love talking baseball. Like I know it's not always a hot topic, and especially during regular seasons when it's 162 games.
Sure.
People kind of push to the side after opening day for a while, and then you get to the last couple months, people get back into it. I love talking and diving into baseball, but basketball comes back this time next week. We'll have baseball and basketball games to watch, and they got their scrimmages going down the bubble. Which one has been intriguing you the most over the last couple weeks since we've been off to see that come back, NBA or MLB?
MLB, definitely. I mean, I'm more of a baseball fan than a basketball fan, and to me, it's summer. I need baseball,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the Cavs aren't anywhere in the NBA stuff right now, so it's kind of like it doesn't really matter to me. So
Don't have that
Yeah.
connection.
it's not as exciting for me, but
Yeah.
so I'm definitely excited to see baseball. I wish I could go see baseball,
Yeah.
but I'll take
know.
what I can get. So
I don't know. I may try to like sneak down the ballpark one time when there's not like too many people outside. Try to like look through the cracks like them. But I'd love to see. I kind of like watching on TV because I can see the whole thing instead of like.
Sure.
Let me
Right,
get
yeah.
through this one little crack in the fence. Let me try to see. Oh, is that Frankie? Oh no, wait. Who's that?
Someone just struck out.
someone-
I don't know who it was though. I think you're. I think absolutely right. I think baseball, it's finally back. I mean, it's national pastime. I know that, in like the top, hierarchy of sports, in America right now, it's football way up here.
Yeah.
Basketball is probably right there, and you got soccer is. I mean, I know a lot of people aren't huge fans of it, but it is growing. I think baseball is still above that, but I mean, you're talking. It's all right there.
Getting close to each other. Yeah.
It is, especially World Cup time. Whenever that comes around,
yes.
every 4 years, that's a huge thing. But baseball, yeah. I mean, for me personally, like it is July. We're coming into the home stretch. Typically, is what it would be.
Yes.
We're just starting up now, but I am excited for baseball to come back. I'm intrigued to see what Frankie does. Are we going to keep him? Like what are we going to do? Like this whole COVID thing has thrown off everybody, and I don't think it's thrown off anybody more than probably the NBA. As pumped up as I am about MLB coming back, the NBA, I am intrigued. I'm not intrigued.
Right.
I just look forward to it because like there's only 8 games, like a remaining 8-game season, and then you hit the playoffs. And then it's kind of a free for all at that point in time. We don't know who's going to be playing. There's been a lot of people that have tested and got COVID. Like Russell Westbrook. He's tested, and now he's going to be returning to the squad right before they start up their season, which is great. Because we need stars. We need stars for it. I'm hoping that we can finish, the NBA
Yes.
bubble with a champion, because I think it is going to be the Lakers. It's going to be the Lakers or the Clippers in my mind. And I would love to see them finish the season, find a champion, and they will be a champion in my mind. Just like if baseball, if for some reason we get lucky enough to see the full 60 games plus the playoffs for baseball, I'm going to crown whoever is a champ a champ.
It might be even harder.
It probably is. Yeah, I mean, it probably would be
interesting
harder.
Conversation to have down the line.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I'm sure we'll get
Oh,
there
yeah.
at
Oh,
that
yeah.
point in time. But yeah, I think it is for right now. It's baseball for me. I'm so excited to have baseball back. Primarily for Francisco Lindor reasons. Is this going to be the last 60 games that we see of Frankie in a Cleveland uniform? We don't know. I'm excited for it. I think that this is one of those last hurrah sort of moments because we don't know how long Tito's going to be here. I mean, Tito's up there in age, and he had health issues a couple years ago, and so we're not 100% sure exactly not how committed he is because every day he steps in the ballpark, you're going to get 110% out of Tito managing the game, and from his players as well. But I'm so intrigued by this because I feel like this is the last hurrah for this Cleveland, for this Cleveland Indians team.
Yeah. This answer may surprise you because I talk about basketball all the time.
Sure.
Baseball coming back is more intriguing to me because I have that team that I can root for. Yeah, I'm a fan of LeBron. I'm not really a fan of the Lakers.
Yeah.
I just want to see LeBron have success and still win championships and be able to have those things on his record so that all the other stats that he has for being one of the best of all time kind of come more into light, can be brought more into light because now the championships are bringing more, shedding more light on that, shedding more shine from the Larry O'Brien trophy onto those stats. But I like that anxiety, that anticipation for a team that you are deeply invested in, as we are deeply invested in all of our teams here in Cleveland. I'm more into that. Now, I will actually probably watch more basketball games than baseball games. That may actually even out now that the relationship I'm in, I'm learning a lot. I'm actually learning a lot more even now about baseball with someone that's played it, been a part of it. In my girlfriend, Jana, just learning that kind of seeing
she's a huge Indians fan.
Huge Indians fan, but she also, she loves the Nationals. She loves players. Like, she grew up idolizing baseball players and kind of understanding the nuances. Like, there's certain little nuances I still don't get, and I'll ask her, and she explains it to me, and it makes so much more sense. So, we're going to watch baseball games, but I may end up watching more basketball games because I can just sit back,
just chill,
just relax in my chair because there is no onus on it. But I'd rather have a team invested into it and be a part of it, and that's why I'm more intrigued by baseball being back. And I've just been craving it so much in these summer months, and I know that basketball is not really around, so my mind is kind of transitioned into that basketball off season anyways.
Do you wish that the Cavs would have had a shot, not to make the playoffs, but to finish out the year with like an 8-game stretch? Like, would you be more invested then?
I mean, I would love to see Cavs play, and I'd love to see these young players and Kevin Porter and
they
Colin
were actually
Sexton
doing really well by the time that this all ended.
And they've already had like somewhat of an off season to like these young guys to like the rookie Darius Garland. He understands what he did wrong in preparation for the NBA and KPJ. So they're putting in this work to prepare for a second season, their sophomore season, and they'd be technically finishing out their rookie year. So you'd love to see young players get an opportunity to play. They're finding some pickup games and stuff like that. Hopefully it's just not too long of a gap between whenever the NBA season ends to when the next one begins for all the teams, so that some of these younger players' development is it's not a detriment to them. Right. That's what you want to see. Like, whether it's the Cavs or some of these other young players, I mean, it's great for the Western Conference because you got Ja Morant and Zion Williamson who are going to be in the bubble, continue their development, and they've already had an impact on the league in their rookie season.
Yeah, no, those two players, I mean, it's the future of the league right there.
Yes, it
is. Those two and then Luka.
Yeah.
Those are the guys, that you're looking at, like the stars of the NBA, and that is so awesome, and I can't wait to see all of that. I am excited, whenever the Cavs do come back. I think they're talking about like a December time frame, to have, the next season start.
Everybody has wanted for a long time. Christmas time is when basketball really gets going. Christmas Day games. Yeah. That's when people really start to pay attention to the NBA. It's a perfect time for them to come back.
100% agree. And I am really looking forward to seeing whenever that all goes down. I'm looking forward to, we're going to have the NBA draft here coming up, relatively soon. I think it's in August.
Is it the draft or is it the lottery that's in August?
The lottery. I'm sorry. The lottery.
In
Yeah.
August, and then probably draft in September. It's usually
probably.
like a month later after.
Right. Yeah, a couple weeks later at least. But yeah, no, I'm super excited. I mean, so we're gonna have some NBA news, coming up here. Especially here, in Northeast Ohio. So we're definitely looking forward to that as well.
Yes, Paulus, you're right. We're gonna have a lot of news coming up here and big things coming to the Voice of the Land podcast on season 4. This has been one I fully enjoyed this episode. I feel like we're starting to really hit that stride here moving forward with the podcast as well. Now, this is where the podcast is going to end. We saw kind of a preview at the end of season 3, some extra little things where you can only get these videos on YouTube at Voice of the Land Podcast. Now, we need some subscribers at Voice of the Land Podcast. Hit that subscribe button. Peter's son, who's playing Minecraft and doing a great job at it, has got more subscribers than we do. Now, we gave him a shout out. I don't know if has he given us a shout out yet? Have we gone through that yet?
You know what? I don't believe he has. I'm going to have to speak to him when I get home.
Piper.
So
Pay the piper.
Yeah, he's up to like 140 some now.
Okay.
Man, he's cruising.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, pay the piper, like you said.
That's
so
right.
So if you do watch our YouTube videos, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like, comment, let us know what you think. So we have an extra fun topic coming to YouTube. That clip will be posted this week. Don't worry about it. We're going to record it now. You guys won't see it for a little while, and you won't hear it at the end of this podcast. So that will wrap it up for Season 4, Episode 1. Of course, Paulus, you're going to be out next week.
I will.
Peter and I are thinking about doing kind of maybe a shorter, to kind of keep Episode 2 going.
Nice.
Might be a little bit shorter than normal, but...
Sure.
Maybe like a half hour, just us, no video, just us kind of going back and forth.
Old school. I like it.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that maybe midweek because I'll be in Hocking Hills. We talked about Hocking Hills. I'll be hiking next weekend.
And then you'll also be in Hocking Hills. What, the following week?
We're
for a couple of days.
Yeah, we're gonna go, but we're actually going during the week. So
okay.
Yeah. So we
Nice.
I've taken a few days off of work just to kind of disconnect.
Yeah.
And get away and hope. We're hoping that nothing changes in the state
Yes.
that's going to affect that.
Right.
So
Yes.
because
Well,
that would be very
I'm
disappointing.
hoping that for next week too.
Like I told you guys, Hocking Hills Winery. Check it out. Those wine slushies are the best thing ever. So check it out.
You know where our hotel is pretty close to?
Where?
The winery.
Nice.
Perfect.
Nice.
So
There you go.
It's my girlfriend, myself, and her parents actually going. They actually
Nice.
they've actually paid for the hotel room, so we're gonna go down there and it'll just be kind of good to disconnect. Don't worry, Governor DeWine. We will have our masks. We'll be wearing them at all times. Don't worry, we're staying in the state too, so we don't have to quarantine either. So
Exactly.
For Nick Paulus and producer extraordinaire Peter Tellup, I'm Kevin Arnold telling all of you sports fans out there, as you get to watch sports these days, don't let anyone ever tell you it's just a game that you're watching, and we love you all 3,000. Thank you so much, and we will see you for Season 2, or no, not Season 2, Episode 2. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna redo that. We'll see you for Episode 2 coming up this week. And Paulus will be back for Episode 3 soon. And stay tuned because Season 4 is about to get big. We'll see y'all next week.